Explain to the listeners what the difference is between workforce and affordable housing. I know, we were talking about that
Yeah.
one has a not as good a connotation as the other.
Key difference between affordable and workforce housing is that, what is affordable these days? Affordable to one family is different to affordable to next. But what is your workforce? The American workforce is the backbone of the country, right? Dating back from a long time ago, teachers, police officers, factory workers, those are the people that built the country. I'm from the Caribbean originally. The American dream is something we heard about, and I moved here when I was 20. And the American dream of homeownership is under threat now, right? It's increasingly out of reach for people. And these are everyday Americans, hardworking Americans that have worked, 15, 20 years for school districts, for local government, whatever have you, and they can't afford to purchase a home. And honestly, that call to contribute is really why we started our company.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Trust This. I'm Joe Seagle, lawyer, land trustee here in Orlando, Florida, with Aspire Legal and My Land Trustee. Today, we have a great guest, Vas Persaud with EcoVision Homes. We're going to talk to him today, both about what they do and how he got where he is. So with that, Vas, why don't you first tell me a little bit about EcoVision and what you guys do?
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. Appreciate to be here. This is my favorite topic. Some people play sports, they make it to the NFL. This, like, building homes, development is my version of the best thing that I could ever do. So it's both my passion and my vocation, all that type of stuff wrapped together. Yeah.
Now, you guys focus on, and we were talking about this beforehand, you focus on workforce housing. And explain to the listeners what the difference is between workforce and affordable housing. I know, we were talking about that one has a not as good a connotation as the other.
Right. So, EcoVision Homes, the concept of the whole home building company started about because, we looked at what was happening in the industry and forecast it to happen with increasing home prices and so forth. And we started a little bit before COVID. So, we didn't even plan for COVID, and all what happened there in terms of home prices and everything, interest rates and all that. But key difference between affordable and workforce housing is that, what is affordable these days? Affordable to one family is different to affordable to next. But what is your workforce? The American workforce is the backbone of the country, right? Dating back from a long time ago, teachers, police officers, factory workers, those are the people that built the country. I'm from the Caribbean originally. The American dream is something we heard about, and I moved here when I was 20. And the American dream of homeownership is under threat now, right? It's increasingly out of reach for people. And these are everyday Americans, hardworking Americans that have worked, 15, 20 years for school districts, for local government, whatever have you, and they can't afford to purchase a home. So, I was one of those people working for local government. I thought I had some skill sets that I could bring to the market and make a difference. And honestly, that call to contribute is really why we started our company. Yeah.
So the workforce, whenever you're talking workforce, you're talking about teachers, janitors, construction workers.
Yeah, middle income America.
Mm-hmm.
The working force folks. That is what our product is geared for. Affordable housing. Of course, we want to build that affordably too.
Mm-hmm.
But affordable housing has this sort of a negative connotation that it's low income housing. Well, I'll argue that today there's a need for more affordability in all price ranges of homes,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I've seen that. I was listening to an economist at an event one of our banks threw a luncheon for us, and she pointed out, she said, after World War II, you had the baby boomer generation coming out. And so a starter home was around 1,300 square feet.
Right.
And during the baby booms, when they came out, they just built like crazy, those 1,300 square foot homes. And then as time went on, the baby boomers moved up. So they just literally tore down those neighborhoods and built McMansions everywhere.
Right.
And then the Xers came along, my generation. We're not that big, so there was still plenty of housing available for us. I think my first home I bought was 250,
Right.
250,000. Then they went, then the millennials came, the
Right.
next biggest generation, and there simply wasn't enough housing. So there isn't that supply of that housing, that 1,300 square foot home for people to buy who are in their first job, or they're early in their job, or they are taking a job. They're a policeman, they're a fireman, they're teachers who, they take typically a lower paying job because they have this dedication to a service, this higher calling, but it's lower pay.
Right.
And so they can't afford those McMansions that were then built over time in all these projects.
Joe, absolutely. When you think about it, is if you look at the increase in household incomes versus the increase in home prices, one's kind of flat. Incomes are flatlined almost, especially when you adjust for inflation, whereas home prices have gone up.
Right.
That gap is what we are trying to do our best and push back, right? And say, okay, other builders will keep raising their prices. We're going to try to trend the opposite way. Now, does it mean we're going to build a house for $50,000? We can't produce in today's market a good quality product to meet hurricane codes and everything like that for that price. But certainly we can try to give some type of cost benefit to our customers. One way we do that is if we can save you on your power bill, your light bill, your utilities. That is an inherent savings that you have for life, right? So our homes, depending on the size, we can reduce your utility bill almost cumulatively over the year, one mortgage payment or one rent payment. Now, for some, that may not be a big deal, but for a lot of people, if you can have one free month a year, that's effectively what we're trying to do. And so, the building more energy efficient homes and so forth is not only a good thing from the environmental perspective and efficiency perspective, if you will, but it makes good sense from an affordability perspective as well. So,
and you're usually doing townhome style construction, is
yeah,
that?
curiously enough, most of our projects are townhomes. We kind of like the townhome product because it allows for our family to own it, fee simple ownership. But if there's a need for them to rent until they can, build sufficient down payment or whatever have you credit to purchase that home, it also allows for that. Versus say an apartment where your only option is to rent.
Right. Right. Now, going back to workforce versus affordable housing versus transition housing, whatever you call that, do you find that you have any issues with NIMBY, not in my backyard, neighbors saying, I don't want that around me?
So we're in a development stage of a few subdivision projects. I got to tell you, Joe, we have gotten such a great positive feedback across the board. Letters of support, emails of support, I should say, from mayors. Staff has been city staff and review staff. The community also has been very interested in, oh, that's interesting. I would like to own one.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a reaction I never thought I would. I didn't anticipate that. Yeah.
So how do you guys keep the per square foot construction costs low enough to make it work?
There's no complex answer. It's really, so moving here from the Caribbean, one of the things that really fascinated me about America is Americans are very hardworking people, and historically, or we have a high moral compass,
Mm.
right? On the way we do things. I mean, globally, Americans are seen as a pretty trustworthy place, right? You know, people have different opinions, but that's my opinion anyway. So good old elbow grease, you
Mm.
know, really going back to fundamentals, being, you know, trying to be functional in our design, not just fancy, if you will, being selective on finishes, designing well. So we took a very holistic approach to development and home building,
Mhm.
and we couldn't shave 50% off any one component. So we took you know, a vertically integrated approach to reducing cost incrementally. But you know, you know, my background as an engineer, I can't sacrifice quality.
Mhm.
So I have to give people a good home, right? But you know, maybe I don't have, you know, a $10,000, $15,000 slab of granite in my kitchen. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Do I want to have a nice kitchen that the family can be proud of, that works so hard? Yes, I want to give them that kitchen. They deserve it,
Mhm.
right? But you know, maybe we'll skip on some of those more expensive items, for example.
Right.
Also, our homes are not. You alluded to early. They're not 3,500 square feet,
Right.
right? You know,
Yeah.
you
What is
know,
the
yeah.
average size that you're looking at building?
Currently, our townhomes are, you know, average about 1,600 square feet. You know,
That start home. Yeah.
but it's you know, we hope our intent is for it to be a very functional, you know,
Right.
family oriented. Um, uh, you know, size of home and functional and creatively done. Yeah.
Well, and I take it you're probably not building, lots of amenities with clubhouses and pools and all those kind
So
of
far,
playgrounds.
no, but our communities are intended to have a wellness component to them,
Hmm.
so that, you know, a big. We looked at some fundamental underlying issues that contribute to the affordable housing issue, and one of them is, it's not just the cost of the home, but some of the socioeconomic issues, and one of them is health. You know, if you're not a healthy person, sometimes you get passed up for that promotion. You know, you don't make as much money. So we're instituting a wellness program as part of our community optional
Hmm.
for participation. But you know, things like walking trails and so forth, amenitized
Hmm.
things that can help people. So yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's important. A lot of people overlook just the health of the buyers.
yeah,
That if they stay healthy, they can keep working. People missing work, yeah, you miss. You come down, you get diabetes.
not to
You
mention healthcare costs are very high.
right.
You know, if we can help control our healthcare, you know, need for spend expenditure, that helps indirectly make that house more affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and then also another thing you pointed out, you build them to for the higher codes now that Florida has for hurricane preparedness, everything else. That probably helps with their insurance costs as well.
Exactly. So we're negotiating with insurance companies right now for upcoming homes to, you know, hopefully shave a considerable amount off of what would typically be the cost of insurance cost. Yeah.
Now, I saw you mentioned something about your patented building system. What have you got there?
Right. So, you know, like I said, elbow grease, we had to really think and almost value engineer how we build a house
Mhm.
today. And so we looked at several building systems available in the market, and we kind of created our own code approved and whatnot building system that takes advantage of some of the more newer technology out there.
Mhm.
There's lots of new great technology. America is a very innovative place. We took a lot of advantage of that, and you know, by being more efficient as builders, we will pass those savings along to home buyers. Yeah.
Now, you said vertically integrate. I know you're, in addition to being an engineer, you have just a few other qualifications for this, what you're doing.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about what you got going on there?
So, you know, so I have this, you know, thing that if really commit to your craft, right? So if my craft is building homes, then I need to be a student of that and really learn my area of expertise, right? So, you know, I am a licensed planner, which allows me to rezone land and so forth efficiently, make decisions quicker. I'm a licensed engineer. I'm a licensed contractor. Those three things are all part of what, just some of the part of what is many trades, if you will, needed to build homes. But those are some of the main ones. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
we by being more, by improving our skill sets, being multidisciplinary in nature, that is also a way of saving consumers cost. Yeah.
So, how many years did you go to school?
Well, student, I'm 42 years old now, so I'm been in school a long time. I would say though, this is my life's work,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I've been putting in effort for a long time, and it's really building my area expertise to be able to do something like this. Yeah.
Now, have you always been on your own, or did you work for another company
No,
before?
no. So I initially, I was educated in Caribbean undergrad, came up here, did my master's and so forth, grad school, and then got into consultancy, engineering consultancy, worked with helping other land developers, I should say, developer clients get approvals. Did work for, Florida Hospital. That was what they used to be called, different home builders, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
So kind of learned a lot about land development, and I'm really using some of that experience today. Yeah.
Now, what was it that made you decide to, okay, this is it. I'm going to launch EcoVision, and here we go. What was that spark?
There was no one, light bulb moment, but it was just just a call in over time.
Hmm.
But one really key incident occurred where, as a licensed planner, we have to attend continuing education courses and seminars and so forth. And there were, back in 2008 and 9, 8, just actually, I should say post recession, 2012 and so forth, there was a lot of talk by American Planning Association about a housing affordability crisis. And we had just come through a recession, and I was surprised. I'm like, oh, homes are, really undervalued right now. What are you guys talking about? But they were looking at data and looking ahead, and they saw a lot of things that were going to happen. And I also had the opportunity to work with some developers who used, I should say, the affordable housing term to help permit their projects, but never intended to do affordable housing.
Hmm.
So it kind of made me realize that, um, really and truly, as an industry, we're not approaching this problem correctly, in my opinion. I felt I can do something about it, and that's what I set about doing.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Well, and I've seen that too. People, they go, oh, it's affordable housing. They'll get these tax breaks to get the incentives from the local governments and maybe even state government, maybe even federal government from lenders to build affordable housing. And then, yeah, they build it and it's McMansions at $500,000 and up. And they go, well, it's
yeah,
affordable for this area.
yeah,
And I've always felt that's an abuse
yeah.
of that system
Uh,
like that.
Again, I mean, we take nothing away from many of the great home builders in the country, and so on. We just feel that there is a need, and we can make an impact here, and that's what we're trying to do. So yeah.
Well, let's turn a little bit more to, just your business,
Yes,
the day to day running your business and how you do it. And we were talking a little bit before, you've got a lot of contractors, a lot of project people. You have a core group of maybe 10 who are with you all the time.
yeah.
Uh, how has that journey been going from employee to now the CEO, the visionary of the
It's
company?
certainly been a learning exercise because, in building a business, any business really, you really have to learn to be the best version of yourself. And business really is a good teacher,
Mhm.
right? Because if you don't run your business well, your business will remind you when you're looking at that bank statement, and bills to pay and so forth. So, back against the wall. I left my very I would say very comfortable job at the county, where I had a pension, 4 weeks vacation and all that, and I said I'm going to go build homes to help people,
Wow.
right? So, I didn't have any vacation or whatever, but I think sometimes we have to take that leap of
Hmm.
faith, and we have to believe in ourselves and go after it. So initially it was just me, and then slowly some really good people have joined, and that's another, really thankful thing and surprising thing for us is the level of excellence of some people that have joined our cause.
Hmm.
I would not have expected that so early in our history here. Yeah.
So, what's something that you were thinking when you first went out on your own that you've had to unlearn and start over with?
I don't know if it was so much an unlearning, but definitely, um, I've had to get better at a few things. So uh, there's such a there's so many things involved in running a business, and just becoming the best version yourself, being a good student. I mean, I have watched a lot of content, educational related content, entrepreneur content. I've done a lot of masterminds. I've read,
Hmm.
I think I had a goal last year to read 52 books. I read 52 books.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, some of them were listening to them.
Right.
I guess I count those as reading.
Oh, yeah.
But taking in that information, I said, hey, I got to be the best version of myself. Read about all these other CEOs that read 52 books a year. I said, if you want to be this big bad, land developer builder, you better read 52 books. So that's what we did.
So, what's one of the books that you've read that you think had the biggest effect on you?
I read about 5 or 6 books, I would say, about scaling a team, right? I read books about Ray Dalio, who's one of famous hedge fund manager. Changing World Order was a very interesting book. I also, have a bit of a spiritual side. I read different books related to that.
Hmm.
I think it's good to be grounded because it really helps fortify your why
Hmm.
when you're really going through some of these things. You asked me a question earlier about what I had to unlearn. I think I had to learn a different level of humility, because sometimes, we're all young and brash at some point and we think we're hot shots and really, we really learn a lot of things. So one thing I've learned is, I think I've improved a lot in my people skills. Yeah. Because I've had to.
So, if you're 42 now, yeah, you started in your 30s, right? You went out on your own in your
Oh
30s?
no, I've only been doing this just before COVID,
Okay.
2020. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, not
Yeah.
too far,
Yeah,
too far back.
I'm only a few years into this. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I remember in my 30s, I thought I knew everything and I was doing great.
Yeah.
And by the end of my 30s, everything was, oh my gosh, everything was falling apart. I mean, part of it was the Great Recession was hitting around that
Sure.
time,
Sure.
but then 40s, the humility does come on pretty strong in your 40s. You realize what you didn't know.
And to see the traction we're getting, I'm very appreciative of it. And one thing I'm acutely aware of is this: it's not just me,
Hmm.
right? It's taken a lot of different people, and I'm very appreciative of them. Yeah.
Right. And I think so many business owners who started their own business have that attitude. Almost everybody I've ever talked to on this program, they're that way. That hey, I didn't do this on my own.
Yeah.
It's not just me. And anyone who does come at it with that attitude, I look at them. I go,
You
"You're not
start
going to
off
last
with a
long."
lot of determination and maybe a little set of arrogance in there that you can do this, and then reality sets in and you realize, hey, you're good, but you need some other people. You're not that good.
So, what does a day in a life look like for you normally?
Well, right now, my if you had to write down my job description, it's be accountable to my team and my customers. One liner. Okay, so I try to meet with everyone that will need my help, so I can help them do their job. And we have different divisions of the company, so I have to be available for the different divisions and building systems,
Mm-hmm.
empowering people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, so many people too. They don't when they're starting a business. They're like, "Well, I need to get the right technology. I need to." It's no, you need to get the people and know what people you need to really succeed, and then really
Yes.
give them
Yes.
that. What is something you didn't pay enough attention to early on that you pay a lot more attention to now?
I think just understanding our overall finances, in money in and out, just having a good handle on that is very important with with different divisions and moving on. The other thing, we have these KPIs, key performance indices, right? Or indicators, some people say. Uh, we look at how fast we're doing things. So we look at, okay, how quickly do we respond to emails? That's a key thing that we need to track. How fast do we respond to think that the next actions that we have to do? How quickly are we getting to those? We do things now like daily standing meetings for 15 minutes just to check in. We didn't do those before.
Yeah, all that comes together, I think.
Yes.
Sounds almost like you're taking a lot from EOS traction, and you may not be doing it intentionally, but a lot of the things you're doing are coming from there.
Yes,
yeah. I'm a big advocate of that. We run on EOS, and I've found that most companies, once you adopt EOS, you are, depending on how far along you are already, you're about 2 to 5 years out from just being a juggernaut in whatever you do. Yeah. It takes about that long to really implement it and really get it going and get the habits built internally. But once you do, it's
what I tell my team now is that our currency, if you will, let's set money aside. We need to make money. Our currency has to be how happy we made people feel that associate with us, our customers and so forth. It's something I'm trying to keep in mind, that, help others get their value, lead with value, and then everything else will flow.
That's a big thing we're focused on internally this quarter is customer feedback and the customer journey, the customer experience. That's everybody has a rock something about that this quarter, so we can start really building those foundations now.
We have definitely we did have to get better at different things, implementing systems around those.
Yep. It's a whole thing. So you've got these contractors, you probably have lenders, other people you have. How do you build these relations? How do you find these people?
Trying to, it's been a lot. Like I said, really good people have come to the table. Surprisingly, with not that much hard work. And I really put it down to the fact that we're really trying to lead or offer value in what we do. And we're fundamentally trying to make an impact. I personally believe that if we were started as a regular building company, just building the same homes that everyone would build, people would come around, yes. But because we're trying to make a difference, I think people that feel that vibe with that, they join us, and I think that's what's helped us network.
Well, and I think that goes back also to that EOS, that if you as the visionary have articulated that vision, well, then people who also believe that vision and also have the same dream will come with you.
Right.
And you've just got to keep articulating.
Like-minded individuals, we've gotten a lot in historically small groups of people working together consistently, in a very coordinated fashion, have accomplished a lot, and I think that's what we are trying to be.
Well, and when you talk about your vision, I hear there's a passion and there's a deeper feeling, a deeper meaning, which I think that's what a vision truly has to be. I look at companies, and we had a company actually, we worked with closely, and I asked them, their CEO, I said, so what's your business? And it was something to the effect of, to be the biggest and baddest, blah, 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 in our industry. And I said, okay, that doesn't really speak to anybody's heart. That doesn't grab emotion. And so when we were coming up with our vision, I mean, it was a full day. It's a full vision day to come up with this vision. And it was, we finally got down to the core of it. It's like to help everybody else, to help other people, everybody we touch aspire to a better life. That's a much higher, calling than, well, you just want to be the biggest and baddest, whatever we are in our industry.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really say this a lot, but my parents worked really hard for me to be where I am, so I feel it's incumbent on me to try to do the same. For others.
Yeah. We're very much alike in that regard. It's very much yes, I climbed the ladder,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to slam the trap door behind me.
Right. Right.
I'm going to reach back and, okay, now I've got to help other people up this ladder as
Yes.
much as I can.
Yes.
That's the gift I've been given, and I have to share that
Absolutely.
now. And I think that's important. So I guess that brings me to really my last question. I always ask all of our guests, with us, being there to help people aspire to a better life, who has helped you aspire to a better life?
Oh man, I am a function of so many mentors.
Mm-hmm.
So many mentors. I've utilized information that you have provided, right, to me indirectly through title companies and so forth. I mean, just as an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've never met, but I know about you, right? Uh, there's so many mentors here in Orlando from CFRI groups and so forth. I would really have to say it. I give myself credit to try to learn from these people, right, all over. I mean, one person, local here in Orlando is Augie Bailo,
Mm-hmm.
who you may know. He was a good person. He probably connected me and some people we know. So yeah, I give him credit and many others, many others.
Yeah, Augie's another one of those who has very high ideals. It's not, okay, I want to be the biggest whatever I am.
Right.
Last time I talked with him, he wanted to have $1 billion impact on the lives of others.
Right.
And the work he does in his charitable work now, and the people that he has mentored and coached over the years, he's helped create so many people with better lives than they had when they came to him.
Yeah.
One
other person could answer. There's a gentleman in Utah, Bridger Pennington. He helped teach me about private equity funding and so forth, and learned a lot from him. And they have a really great community, and that's another example. So there's so many people that I follow and I learn from and I interact with, not daily specifically, but they're the Tony Robbins and all those folks. So, oh man, just to sum it all up, it takes a very special place to have those type of people help you. Mm-hmm. So just like how they helped me, and I was lucky and fortunate to get access to them, I feel that there's so many others that if they had similar access, mm-hmm. they would also, be in my shoes. So again, similarly, it's incumbent on me to share my knowledge, just like how these folks shared their knowledge with me. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for coming in today. It's inspiring. What you're doing is great.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us today. And until we meet again, trust this, everybody. Thanks for listening to this edition of Trust This. If you got something out of it, please press like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review to help us reach others who can benefit from this series. Until next time, keep aspiring to a better life.